Hello, my name is Maurice Washington. I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Executive Talk. Those that are watching live and those that are listening later on our podcast, thank you so much for joining us in today's show. Today's show, we're going to talk about international trade and also uncertainty and confusion that's happening right now in the marketplace. As you know, with business owners, we like a certain amount of certainty within our trade. Within us building our business, we want that certainty to be there. But right now, we're in uncharted times. We're seeing a lot of things that we're not used to and not accustomed to operating. So with me today is we have Joe Nuti with Acrisure Insurance, trade insurance specialist, to actually talk to us a little bit further about how we navigate our businesses during this time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome Joe to the stage. Joe, how you doing today, sir?
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us and thank you for talking about this topic.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you. So before we actually get started, let's go ahead and make sure we give Joe his just due and make sure we understand a little bit about his story and background because this is important. With his history, he's had 40 years of credit risk management, 22 years trade insurance, trade credit insurance, 18 years bank and assessment based lender, Acrisure trade credit broker, top 10 global insurance broker, a daily advocate for credit managers, controllers, CFOs, and business owners, facilitate, advocate, and identify client term sale risk, collection workouts, and also MBA finance and second master's Asian Pacific studies. Joe, those are amazing accolades. The one thing that I'm interested in is you said the advocate for business owners, CFOs, controllers, and credit risk managers. Why is that so important? Why have you found a passion in that over this time period?
Well, what's happening is a lot of companies and their management are so busy. And the difference between today and before is, for example, you used to have a CFO, a treasurer, a controller, an AR manager, and now you have one person doing all those jobs. So what happens is we become their advocate, and when they have a question about risk, we answer those questions and we try to find a solution. So we're seeing a lot of folks doing a lot of jobs, and we're trying to help them get through it as fast and as easy and as low risk as they can.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, and let's just get right into it because the uncertainty and confusion, this is a particular time, and one thing that we know about history, one thing that we like to do typically is we like to kind of guarantee what we're doing. We like to see, we understand change is going to be there, but we also understand that there's certain changes that can, cause more confusion than other times.
Right.
And right here, you offered us some ideas as far as the times are changing, and how will your business to business, be affected by change in risk selling internationally, increased opportunities selling internationally? We're actually starting to see the highest number of business bankruptcies since 2010. We had a show previously about that. I want to welcome everybody to go see Joe's show in regards to that. But unexpected government regulation changes, the Green New Deal gone. Talk to us a little bit about some of these changes and some of these particulars that you wanted to point out to.
Sure. If you want peace of mind, don't read the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're going to lose your mind.
That's right.
And that's where the uncertainty is coming from. Because if you read, nobody reads the paper anymore. But if you read online, it's all these catastrophes happening. Oh my goodness. What's happening in what's going to happen to the job market when all the government workers are on unemployment? What's going to happen to my trade? What's going to happen with tariffs? So what we're seeing we're seeing a lot of uncertainty, and it's kind of hard to fish through all the noise. And
Right.
we help you do that because we drill down to the black and white. What's the credit quality of the people you're selling to, so you can grow your sales without going out of your mind and worrying about all the peripheral things that are coming in. Because You got to watch out for what we're seeing a lot lately is the domino effect. You've got to watch out. Do you really know who your customer's customer is? No, it's hard enough to know who your customer is. So what happens if your customer gets their customer doesn't pay their bills? So all of a sudden his cash flow's getting murdered, and now he's not paying you. We
Yeah.
through that. So and with tariffs are on, tariffs are off. What countries are safe to sell to? What countries aren't safe? Argentina, can you sell into Argentina exports? I wouldn't. Even the Export Import Bank of the United States won't cover Argentina. Now that's going to change. Okay, the president is getting their act together, but right now their companies still can't buy foreign currency to pay their import fees, for your product. So we help companies with that uncertainty. We help companies because things are changing on a daily basis. All of a sudden, we're on for tariffs, then we're off for tariffs. Who's going to have tariffs? There's going to be retaliatory tariffs. This is the game we're playing, and we add certainty to the market.
Sure. And that's key. You said a lot there, but let's talk about those tariffs as an example. And let's talk about the news as an example. Like you said, stay away from it. But unfortunately, if you're doing business on an international level, you kind of can't stay away from it because you're dealing with $500,000, $1 million as far as revenue, as far as your trade deal that you have going on with a particular country. If these tariffs go into place, is it still the right number? Are you going to get paid? Is there going to be a reaction on the other side that you did not expect?
Right.
Because ultimately that money, that revenue that you're looking for has a lot to do with your bottom line and how you're going to, I don't know, cover your employees, cover your, your infrastructure. Right. So those are kind of the reason why people are would love to draw away from the news, but they're drawn towards it because they're trying to figure out, what's the next step here? Right.
Right. Right.
And I think that amount of coverage that people are looking for causes that level of insecurity and uncertainty. Right. So what were you about to say?
Well, we stop the fear. We help you sleep at night because we'll ensure that you get paid for what you sell. Now, on certain countries that you have to do business with, we disclose what your risk is. And if I can't get you coverage, then maybe you need to think about getting prepaid or cash against documents. But we help you with all those items to kind of get through the noise, get you covered, get you so you can trade without worrying about getting paid. We do that.
That's very true. That's right. And that's key. That's key here because you brought up another point for us to pay attention to, which is, first of all, open up your international opportunity. And you listed a few resources that are important in your, opening up your international opportunity, which is the Small Business Administration. You have the U.S. Export Assistance Centers, help access international markets, provides advice on business registration and hiring, managing employees, and helps protect the rights of small business and U.S. trade agreements. So we also have the International Trade Administration and the Export Import Bank of the United States. Now, let me ask you this, because those are great resources. Completely agree with them. Not that I have experience working with them, but if they're there, they're there. But when there's that uncertainty and confusion and the government is changing at the rate that it's changing at, are those resources still available for business owners to tap into?
They are. They're always there. All three of those are U.S. government. Okay, they're there, and then you also have some state, because some state agencies want to promote exports. Because think about it, if they're exporting, they're making money, their tax revenue goes up. So all of these are in place, and even when there's real friction within the government, like right now,
right?
These are sacrosanct. They are not allowed to be touched. Why? Because think about it.
Okay.
The more that is exported, the more money the U.S. government makes. So these are all supported. These are all in fact, you can go online, look them up, or you can email me and I'll help you find a local, but they're all there to help. Now, Export-Import Bank, they have insurance and they have loan guarantees for SBA loans. So there are certain banks that use them to grant working capital,
Okay.
the ability to sell for that very reason. One of the issues, though, is 51% has to be produced in or serviced out of the United States. So their charter is to promote U.S. exports. Now, the other ones don't have that requirement. They're there to help you export and charge overseas. Now, they can't guarantee it. Exim can, but we have a lot of private public companies that offer trade credit insurance that do that also.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And I want to make sure that we're clear, because I know there's business owners that are going to watch this and say, well, I'm just doing business within the nation. I'm not really aspiring to go international. Now, there's that type. But if you are planning on, if you ever think about this, you have to remember this is what you have to start thinking about. But a lot of business owners that are watching this program are currently on the move to doing international. They have a product that can, operate on the international level, or they're already in it. So make sure you understand who you are as a business owner. So when we talk about this, you need to understand what is your international risk. And I'm going to take you through a couple of things that you listed for us here, Joe. So back to the basics: character, reputation, paying of debts. We also have capacity, ability to pay, capital, collateral, conditions, industry trends, economic conditions, interest rates, payment history, time in business, annual customer credit review, close the barn door, cause and effect loss review. Would you like to take us down the pathway on some of those the relevance?
So you had mentioned, well, how about if they're not exporting? Well, all these items apply for domestic sales too.
That's right.
We'll cover you for, but not Exim, but the private carriers will find you a solution for domestic sales. There is much uncertainty domestically as there is internationally. They just don't apply to tariffs, but they apply to not getting paid. So the biggest trend right now, which is amazing, is because all the credit insurance companies tell us this information. We know this information is companies' accounts receivables are being stretched out. So, and claims are going up. And so that's why the credit insurance is so important. Now, what that slide talks about is, it's kind of funny. Everything goes back to the basics. And all this slide is about the basics that you used to do 20 years ago. Know your customer. Don't make any assumptions about the customer. Know who they are, how they trade, who they started. Talk to them. Don't email them. Talk to people on the phone. Something that, it's going to be hard to get them. You're going to have to find out their cell phone number.
That's right.
But it's critical, that relationship that someone. And the current trends are all the big insurance companies, all the banks are doing what they call KYC, know your customer, because that's where they get hurt when they find out after the fact. So it's very important to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Don't assume that you're going to get paid on time. Call somebody so if you have net 30 terms, day 15 or day 20, you're going to call and you're going to say, don't forget, you got an invoice due in 10 days, 15 days. The due date, give them a call. If they're late, then your mode changes as they go longer when they go. Because guess what? People are pushing out payables because there's a big trend going in with the banks. And I know we're going to talk about that a little later. But what's happening is there's a lot of consolidations, changes in lending requirements. So they're using your sale to fund their cash flow. So the longer they can take to pay you, the less they need to borrow from a bank and pay interest fees. So that's a big thing right now. So know your customer. Okay.
And let me ask you this, because we had talked about, Joe, in our last show, credit risk terms as far as 30, 60, 90, or 180 days. That, your credit terms are, that 60 days, that 90 days is where you creep into that trouble, right? Because banks aren't lending at the same capacity as they used to. And I feel like at certain point, people felt comfortable doing their international business, knowing that they had a line of credit on hand to actually take in the risk of that 60 to 90 days, right?
Yeah.
So as that goes away, your international risk seems like it increases. Would that be accurate?
The credit insurance covers you for that. It's primarily not so much what your terms are. It's more of what is your payment history with your client. Are they paying you 60 days past terms? So if you have net 60, are they paying you on day 120? Difference between a good customer and, it's you don't want to say bad customer. How much of that are you doing to yourself? But know your risk, know the customer, know what they're paying, because you might get a call on the phone and say, hey, I'd love to do business with you, but you didn't know their normal vendor just dumped them because they weren't paying on time.
Yeah.
So, you've got it. Credit insurance fixes that also, because, if the credit insurance company knows how they pay and they show up on past due reports, it's going to be hard to get coverage. So you're not last man in or last woman in. You and you find out, is this person going to pay me for what I'm selling them? So the terms you can offer. Now, you can't really go above 180. 180 days is a 6-month term. So
that's right.
Receivables are short-term accounts receivables. We have different solutions, but it changes when it starts getting past 180 days. But it's really about when they pay you. How many days after due date do they pay? That's the critical thing that you have to be careful of.
Makes sense. All right. Here's another point when it comes to international risk. If you can take us down the pathway in regards to this. So we have political risk rating, and so mechanism for transferring the concentration of power, also effectiveness of policymaking, independence of institutions, social cohesion, international relations. Now, I want to make sure that when I ask this question, we're not going down the rabbit hole of political thought process, but also show us where that uncertainty comes into play in regards to that.
I don't care about politics. All I care about is you're going to get paid. When we talk about in our business political risk, there's a definition for it. Political risk is tariffs, which is coming up. It's not about is the person liberal or conservative. That's not what my world of political risk is. Political risk is a country doing something that's going to cause non-payment to you. So what's happening is I can provide reports, maps showing you which countries are listed as good, which is good payers, good legal system, good government, good government. It could mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's are you going to get paid business wise? That's all we care about. We don't care. So, like, for instance, right now, Argentina is a great country. However, it's very hard to get your money out of Argentina. Okay. So if you're selling in Argentina, you want to really ask them to prepay. And those things are changing. Mexico, for example, Mexico's one of our biggest trading partners, and their legal system is not that good. So if an American company sues a Mexican company for payment in Mexico, do you think the judgment is going to be on the American company's behalf? Highly, highly unlikely. Credit insurance fixes that.
Gotcha.
Okay, because
And I'm glad you brought that up. Hold on real quick, Joe, before you go in, because you're on fire right now. I want to bring up this map that you had
oh yeah,
provided us because
there it
this is
is.
perfect. Yes, because
Yeah,
this is exactly what people need to see. Because
that's
if
right.
you're operating from an international perspective and your business is trying to move, there are certain things that you need to know that you don't know.
Right.
And these things, because one thing that you had talked about is how quick things change.
Yeah.
It's not just political things happening here in America, it's political things that are happening in other countries. So explain
Yep.
to us from that perspective. I have the map up for everybody to take a look at, but go ahead and take us down
Well,
this road.
you can see who's green: Australia, China, India, Saudi Arabia, of course, and you can see who is higher risk, which is kind of a orange, light orange, and then as it gets towards red, it's pretty much not coverageable. Now, we have solutions for that because the Export Import Bank of the US will do things that the private carriers don't do. When I say private, they're all public companies, public related companies, or we only deal with the top performers. But here's a perfect example. 20 years ago, Turkey is part of the EU, a good payer, but right now it's very difficult to get coverage in Turkey. Okay, because things have changed. The new government of Turkey is not that business like normal. They're
Right.
more interaction with, you'll never win a lawsuit there if you can even get one. But the insurance companies will cover you. But Export Import Bank is not of last resort. Export Import Bank is for two things: very small companies, because they'll do a small premium deal and then high risk, what the private carriers or my world views as very high risk countries, they'll do it. Now they won't do Argentina, which means they're really, really high risk, but they'll do Russia. They'll do the Reds. They like doing African countries because they feel that they're doing good justice in promoting exports to those countries. And they'll do countries that the private carriers won't do. So, yes, I don't care about politics. I care about if they're going to put a tariff and stop you from getting your money. I only care about if they, you can't transfer risk. Transfer risk is the inability to buy U.S. currency to pay you if you're billing in U.S. dollars. And if you think about it, that is a real government saying, we don't have the fortitude to be able to buy U.S. currency at this dollar amount. And so we're going to restrict the outflow of that payment. And that's what we have to be careful. And the other thing is the insurance companies monitor the companies in the countries, and
Okay.
the top three. The other ones, not so much, but the top three really monitor actively those buyers in those countries, your customers. So,
Yeah, that's huge. And that does, and when we're talking about uncertainty and also confusion, that takes a little bit of the bite out of the uncertainty factor of it. It
yeah,
helps you because you don't know as a business owner, all you're trying to do is trade and get your product,
yes,
worldwide or
yep,
a comparable trade that's going to help affect your bottom line. But with these, there's bottom line, there's underlining things that are happening in other countries that you just don't know. You just know that you want to do business. So I think that's huge to
yeah.
provide that type of certainty. So when you talk about scrutinization of international credit risk, here's a couple of points that are important here. So we have slow payment, insolvency, loss, fraud, close of business, no money, disputes excluded. We have credit vets, all customers. We have insurance, political risk against non-payment, transfer risk, government intervention. We have cancellation of export license, imposition of restrictions, embargo, war, civil, violence. So talk to us a little bit about some of those points and why this is so important.
Well, it's important to companies because they're securitizing, they're guaranteeing they're getting paid. And the way they do that is either with trade credit insurance or prepayment. But, it's very hard to get your money up front, right? Because people, that hurts their cash flow. They'd rather get the product and pay you in 30 days. Well, you can also get a letter of credit, but letter of credits are very expensive compared to credit insurance. And banks will not give so the letter of credit would be in that country where they're located. And the bank's not giving them a letter of credit. They either have to have the money on deposit, they either have to agree to a loan, they have the personal guarantees. So by you getting credit insurance with us, that's where the securitization is, just like in a bank loan. They securitize the bank loan with a uniform commercial code, UCC1, which gives them rights to all your assets, or a UCC2, which is inventory. Well, insurance is that securitization for you on international risk, because there's another thing. Banks are not allowed to lend on foreign receivables unless they have credit insurance. So if you have a bank line of credit and you have us credit insure your export receivables, the bank then now can insure those receivables. But what it is you're transactional. You're selling, you're getting paid, you're going back. And here's the other thing. Don't ever assume that who was good today is good tomorrow. And I don't mean bad and good, like the wicked witch in the West and the good witch. I don't mean like that. What I mean is all you care about is getting paid, right? That's all you care about. The rest is superfluous to you, right? So a person today might not be that same person 6 months from now. Credit insurance guarantees that securitizing what you do. And in this, you can look at it at a later time. The political risk, again, is not what we consider political. Transfer risk. Government gets involved and says, you're doing something bad to me, we're going to do it to you. Confiscation, they take it. And let me tell you, it's happened in India. We paid $3 million in claims because not everybody's in the United States. They just go, yeah, that's your problem, right? It's the law. We got a lot of laws. Well, in different countries, the government gets involved, and the government helped their businesses because the price dropped so far. They took care of their people to the detriment of you, and you had no rights. What are you going to do? So you signed the paper they sent you. We guaranteed for this political risk that they were covered, and we paid. And the insurance company paid, but it was worth the funds. I'll tell you, worth the premium. So
this is good. You had talked about, and you've had a lot of conversation in regards to different financial institutions that are in the middle of this process to help you with this to help you develop certainty and take away the confusion. So talk to us a little bit further. I'm going to allow for people that are watching to look at this list of carriers. So talk to us a little bit about this slide right here.
So one of the things when you buy your insurance, don't go direct, but use a broker. I'm a broker. I work for one of the biggest brokerage firms in the world. Use a broker, because think about it this way. I work for you. I don't work for the insurance company. I'm your advocate. And there's a reason people hate insurance companies, okay? My daughter was calling me about how her auto insurance went up by 40% because she got a ticket. Now, when you buy a lot, you know what I mean. For the consumer, I don't go through a broker for my auto anyway. But when you buy business insurance, use a broker, whether me. If you don't want me, use someone, okay? And the reason being is, here's all the insurance companies that offer credit insurance. Amenta, AIG, Liberty Mutual, FCIA. Allianz is the biggest in the world. Atradius is second biggest. Coface is third biggest. Ascot, Export-Import Bank, Markle, Tokyo Marine. What do you care who it is? Chubb is another one. You care because some are good for certain things and some aren't good for certain things. You're not going to know that. You don't do what I do all day. And the key is you want us to go to the market. This is the market. We shop for you with one app. We get you a bunch of quotes and you make the decision, and we advise, we advocate. And what's nice is we use one carrier against the other one to get you the best deal and coverage. And that happens on a day-to-day basis. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you grow your sales, whether domestic or export, especially in these times of uncertainty, because the uncertainty is not only for exports, it's domestically what's going to happen.
That makes perfect sense.
You know, maybe you're selling to a company in Northern Virginia. Depends on what you're selling, but you know there's going to be a lot of unemployed people in Northern Virginia and Maryland and Maryland right now. So your risk might totally change, and we help you with that. We give you consistency. We make sure we protect your cash flow, and we help you sleep at night so you don't have any surprises.
That makes sense. Joe, and we appreciate tremendously your information that you're giving us, because again, right now, uncertainty and confusion is not where people want to be, but the spirit of business ownership is about getting to the point of staying certain, staying focused, and looking at the end goal as to where you started.
Yep.
And so I know that's exactly your heart. And, you know, we had talked about you being an advocate for business owners in the very beginning. And that's exactly why you're in trade credit. And that's exactly what you're really trying to promote here is be certain, have you as you as your teammate. Would that be fair?
Yeah. We'll help. It doesn't hurt to ask. Call me. Talk to me. It doesn't hurt to ask me. I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form I can. Because even if you're too small, maybe today you're too small, but 5 years from now you might not be. And I hope you call me that. So I'm here to be your resource, and I'll always tell you the truth.
Yes. That's why we love you, Joe.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you being on again, addressing this at this particular time. But we'll obviously there'll be some more topics and more things that are going to go happen, and we'll be glad to have you back to talk to us a little bit further about that, if you will.
Thank you. My pleasure. And it's an honor to talk to you, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joe. All right. And for those that are watching and those that are listening, I want to say thank you for taking your time out of your schedule to hear what Joe had to say, especially on this particular topic. As I mentioned before, let's shift towards certainty. Let's take confusion out and let's get certain. This is your business. Your business and your employees need you to be certain. So that way the business decisions, because again, that's your payroll. Working with people such as Joe is who you want to have as part of your partner in your business, to look out for those things, to actually see the things that you can't see. And this is why we have the resources here at Executive Talk to actually make sure that you know who they are, who to call, and how to reach them. With Rick, Rick is a business insurance. He's currently on this show, but he's watching. He's actually promoting, helping this out as a business insurance. Make sure your business insurance is on point at this stage. There's a lot of changes in the business insurance. Make sure you're certain by using people like him. So between Rick and Joe, you've seen the resources here on Executive Talk that we can get you connected to, or you can reach out to them directly to help, again, securitize your business, make sure that you know where you're going. And that's the point of today's show. So I want to, again, thank everybody for taking your time out of your schedule. But the three of us, we actually have to get back to work. So we'll see you next time. Have a good one.